Hi everyone and welcome to Homerino Collectibles, where today I'm going to be doing a review of the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Magneto from the X-Men Jubilee wave. As you can see by the sticker on the front of the packaging, there is a Toys R Us exclusive figure. Basically, it's exclusive to Toys R Us in the US. I kind of touched on it quickly in my unboxing video of these guys. I picked it up from eBay. It was a very good price. But it's really weird because obviously there's a Toys R Us in the UK. They do sell the Amazing Spider-Man 2 wave of Marvel Legends now, just like places like Forbidden Planet and other comic book shops and stuff are now selling that wave as well. It's just really kind of strange that they've all of a sudden got that. But they never sold like the Guardians of the Galaxy wave and whatnot. It's just really strange that in Toys R Us, most of the stuff that they sell is Hasbro stuff, yet they don't stock Marvel Legends, not new ones anyway, so it's really kind of strange. But anyway, moving on, I got it from eBay, so that's where all of you can get it if you're not in the US. And if you're in the US, then you should be able to find it at any Toys R Us. So moving on then, the packaging, it's the standard Infinite Series packaging that we're seeing nowadays. On the top you get an X there, on the side, on both sides of every single figure in the wave, you get this same picture of Wolverine, which looks really cool there. And then on the back we get a larger picture of the figure, which I find quite funny because if I just focus in on that, it actually says, pose requires hand support. Which I find kind of funny because it's like they're even like showing you that if you want to have him posed flying, you're going to have hand support. What I really wish that they would do is actually make figure stands. So I really think that they should bring out like 5 packs of just a standard base so that you can just buy multiple bases for all your different figures, and they'd make loads of money from that. And they could like sell individual flight stands or something with the clamps. I think that more and more toy companies now are doing them, but they really need to sell them individually. That they make so much money, if not more money, from the stands than the actual figures themselves. They really need to start doing it, especially seeing as they even hint on their box now that you're going to have to hold him up if you want him to get into a flying pose. But I just find it kind of strange, and I just really wish that they would start to do that. Another thing that I think that they should have done is bring out a variant of this figure as the Marvel Now Magneto, which is in his white costume and whatnot, because the bio here, which says Magneto, decades of persecution forged the master of magnetism into a zealot crusading for mutant supremacy. But since joining Scott Summers' team of mutant revolutionaries, has his vision for mutant liberation evolved? Now, that, to me, sounds like the Marvel Now Magneto, and this is obviously the classic look for Magneto, and I think that it's very good that they have given us a slightly updated classic costume Magneto. I've never had a Magneto figure before, so I really do love this thing. This is my first one. But I really like his costume, unlike Cyclops, which everyone seems to hate. But yeah, I really like that costume, and I'd just love it if they brought out a variant for this. But anyway, moving on, here is everyone else in the wave. You have to get everyone except for Wolverine to build your Jubilee, so let's get into this thing. So the Build-A-Figure piece is one of Jubilee's arms, and it's looking pretty small over here, but if you want to see a full-on review of Jubilee, then go ahead and click on that subscribe button, and I'll get to that review just like all Build-A-Figures after I have reviewed the entire wave. And here is Magneto himself. So like I said, this is my first Magneto figure, so I already really like this anyway. But I really do think that this is better than the original Toy Biz version, which was, basically the only classic Magneto figure that you could get that was like 6-inch and was a pretty good figure anyway. But I really do think that there's a lot of things that this figure has that, even though obviously it's just another classic Magneto, so there's not going to be massive changes, I really do think that this figure brings more to the table than that one did. So what that one had was a removable helmet, and then there was a variant that had a different head. So if we just take a closer look at the head, as you can see, I think that this is actually a pretty good size. A lot of people do not like the size of the head, or in particular the face in there. I think that on the whole, the size of the helmet and just the head on the whole is a really good size for the figure. Now, it's got a slightly different design to that older Toy Biz figure, the helmet. but for the most part the entire rest of the suit is pretty much the same. Now with that one, I think that one was just moulded in red, the crest on the front, whereas this one has the more prominent purple one, and I have seen that on most figures it's not really, centered really well. Like mine looks like it's kind of on an angle there, so I'd love if I could just rotate that a little bit, but I can't, but never mind. The helmet, I would actually like to see what's underneath, because you can kind of move these sides open here, so it would actually be quite nice to see what was under there. If you could heat it up and just kind of peel the helmet off the entire head and see what was under there. If maybe there is a hair sculpt under there, or if it's just the head or whatever. It would be just one of those things. I'd be curious to see. The cape, I think, is really, really well done. Now, if I remember correctly, I think with that one it kind of swooshed to one side. I think it kind of looked a bit more dynamic than this anyway, but I prefer capes and action figures to flow, well, not just straight down, but just relatively straight down, and I think this is really good. It gives him a large silhouette. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. He looks big and powerful, and it's flowing down, so for most poses this works really well, because in certain dynamic poses having a cape that's swooshed to one side kind of limits the amount of poses that you can get out of the figure. I think that having a cape that goes down, I think it's just better for more ranges of poses, really. I think that with the cape swooping to one side, it's only good for kind of dramatic, just standing poses, really, and that's about it. So I like this design more. Plus, it goes over his shoulders, whereas the Toy Biz one kind of just went straight back, so you got more arm articulation, but this one, it kind of moves left to right on him anyway, because it's pegged into his back, so if you move his arm up, the cape will kind of move with it, so you can still get some pretty good articulation with it, but I think that just absolutely looks fantastic. And then with the body mold that they've chosen here, I think that it just really suits just a classic suited look. I think it's really nice, and the size of it is nice, standing really powerfully here. We've just got this loose belt over here. The shading on the figure is absolutely fantastic too. It's not just red, it's really nice. It actually kind of feels like a Toy Biz figure. As you can see, there is actually dark shading here in all the nooks and crannies across the entire figure. So we've got dark shading here, in here, on the thighs. If we look underneath on the back, he has some on his back and everything. It really does look absolutely fantastic. I love the colour they've gone with this guy. I'm really glad it's not just a plain red. And then as for the feet down here, I think on pictures these feet kind of looked a little strange because they look a bit big and flat, but in hand it looks perfectly fine, and they're good because he's a big figure, so he needs a bit of stability there. And then as for the hands, I think that with modern Marvel Legends coming with lots of interchangeable heads and hands and things, something that this guy could have done with to put him past that original Toy Biz figure and make collectors buy a second Magneto would be to give him different hands, because a lot of people like figures like Magneto, or should I say characters like Magneto, that use powers and magic and whatnot to come with open hands, so that they've got gestures so that they can use their stuff, whereas this guy comes with one, which is very nice, and then the fist. Now I like figures with fists because I like displaying them with a fist like this and whatnot. I think it makes them look powerful and angry and this, that and the other. I like those kind of poses. However, a lot of people would have liked two of these hands, so he can have both gestured hands out. It's like with a lot of Iron Man figures, a lot of people would like two gestured hands so they can have both of his arms up. That's completely fair enough. But I think that one of each is very good, but if they wanted to really make this figure that much better than the old version, and to make it more of a difference in the figure itself, so that people would buy this as well as the old one, would be to actually give you interchangeable hands. Now to do that, obviously it would have to have the cut up here so that you could actually have the interchangeable hands just like the modern figures do at the wrist, and that's what this doesn't have, because it's just a rotation here at the entire forearm. You could change that whole thing, but I think it would have been better if they'd added that articulation in there, and then if you actually had interchangeable hands, so a set of these hands and a set of these hands would have been perfect. But that's everything that I would change about the figure, really. I like the head, I like the cape, I like the paint, I like everything about it, and even though the cape is pretty big and kind of makes him a little back heavy, it's so long that he barely moves back. Look at that. It just catches him straight away. So it doesn't even look like he's leaning back, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, unlike the Angel figure that came in the all-new X-Men box set, that weighed him back and he'd just fall over because the wings just weren't long enough. You know, so I think that it is a really, really great figure, and I think that everyone who had that classic one should buy it because they will like this more. So let's just get into the articulation real quick. The head is really nice. It does a full 360, so you can get left and right. It moves up a little bit, not too much, but if you take the cape off, then you can get great articulation. And that's another great thing. If you want to use the cape for other figures, it just sits over them and it just plugs into the hole in the back, so you can use it for anyone, which is fantastic. He looks down very good, and he's got like that kind of hinge, so he can like kind of rock his head back and forth. So you can bring it forward and bring his head over the cape. If you just leave it back and push it down, it does that, but you can bring it over so we can look down even more, which is nice. It does not hinder the articulation. The cape doesn't. I mean, it's kind of harder to fit your hand back there because the cape's not super flexible. It's like more of a harder kind of cape, so it's still flexible, but it's kind of a more harder material. But you can still get in back there to utilize all of that awesome articulation, and the cape kind of wobbles around a little bit, so it helps you know, move out the way for stuff. And then he's got some waist articulation. The belt does well at hiding that, and then you've got the standard arm articulation, so the arms go out and do a full 360. See, you can, you know, the cape moves enough that you can still get some great articulation, so it's not a hindrance at all. He rotates up there at the bicep too, double jointed elbows, and then he just has the rotation at the forearm, and then moving down to the legs. It's got the joints that I don't like, but I don't really mind too much because I really love everything else about the figure. So if you twist them, it goes forward, and then you kind of swing it round again and put it out to the side, and it can go all the way out to the side and everything. I just really don't like these joints. They're called Y joints, or like a kind of ball socket hinge thing. I just really don't like these kind of joints. I just wish that you could, for example, like Marvel Now Cap here, I wish you could just move the leg in whatever way that you want. It's so much quicker and so much easier. So obviously you have the swivel at the thigh, you have a double jointed knee, a rotation at the calf, and then you have up and down at the feet, as well as an awesome ankle pivot. And he does have peg holes at his feet, right at the very back there at the heel. And for a size comparison, here is the Marvel Now cap that I just showed you there, and they are exactly the same size. So his standard Marvel Legends size, he just looks absolutely fantastic. I absolutely adore this figure. I think it looks great from every single angle. I would love a flight stand for it. Like I said, I really do wish that Marvel Legends sold individual flight stands. I think that they would look absolutely fantastic in the air. So that's it for this review, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to watch the rest of the wave and all future Marvel Legends videos, and click the like button on this video if you like the review, and comment and tell me if you do like this more than the Toy Biz one. Or maybe if you have the Toy Biz one and you know, you don't really want to pick this figure up, just tell me why you don't really want to pick this up, and tell me why you think that one is better, because I'd like to know, because I really do think that this one is better than that one, but obviously that's just personal opinion. And obviously I still actually would buy that figure if I found it at a good price. I'm not saying that this is just like the only one that you should have. I definitely think that that older one is a great figure. I just think that this one is slightly improved, but there's been a lot of people slagging this figure off, and I don't see why, because I really do think that this is really a great improvement to that past figure. There's not much you can do to change a figure that already looks like classic Magneto, you know, to make it look any more like classic Magneto. I think that they've done a great job. But I really would like a variant, considering that the bio on the box kind of was a modern Marvel Now Magneto bio, and this is a classic one. So I'd really love that white version of Magneto, especially as we have now the Marvel Now Cyclops figure. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you stay tuned for more videos, and I'll see you next time.